Carlos had lived many lives inside one lifetime. He was born in the warm coastal city of Veracruz, Mexico, where the sea breeze touched every home and the sound of waves was part of daily life. His childhood was simple sunny days, loud markets, street food, and evenings filled with family voices. But when he turned 20, he moved to the United States, searching for better opportunities. He settled in New Jersey, far from the warm beaches of his hometown. New Jersey brought cold winters, busy streets, and a world that moved fast. Carlos worked hard, first in restaurants, then in construction, and later in a hotel. He learned English by listening to customers, copying the way they pronounced each word. He practiced every day on the bus, at home, during breaks, and slowly became fluent. Some people even said he spoke English better than some native speakers. Carlos laughed when he heard that, but deep inside, he was proud. Everything changed the day he had the accident. It was a rainy afternoon, and Carlos was driving home from work. The road was slippery, and the car in front of him stopped suddenly. Carlos hit the brakes, but the car spun. He survived, but he was injured badly. For months, he could not walk easily. He needed help, but life in the United States is expensive, and he had no close family there. His friends had their own families, their own responsibilities. Carlos felt lonely. He realized that in hard moments, the heart wants to return home. So he made a big decision. He left his job, sold what he had, and went back to Mexico. His family welcomed him with tears and open arms. Recovering at home felt different. His mother cooked for him. His nieces visited him every weekend, and the familiar smell of the ocean comforted him. Slowly, with patience and care, he healed. But Carlos was not a man who liked sitting still. Even while recovering, he wondered what he would do next. He wanted work that connected him to people. He wanted something that allowed him to use his English. One afternoon, while walking along the beach in Cancun, he saw a group of American tourists struggling to understand a local vendor. Carlos stepped in and translated for them. The tourists thanked him and joked, "You should be our tour guide." Those words sparked something inside him. A few weeks later, Carlos applied to a small tour company. They needed someone who knew Mexican history, culture, hidden places, and most importantly, English. Carlos fit perfectly. His first few tours were simple trips around the beaches and restaurants, but people liked him. They liked the way he explained things. They liked that he had lived in America and understood their questions. They liked his calm voice and friendly smile. Soon, Carlos became one of the most popular guides in Cancun. Every morning before sunrise, Carlos stood near the port where the huge cruise ships arrived. When the ships opened their gates, waves of tourists poured out. Families, students, couples, retirees. Many wanted to see the famous speeches. Many wanted to taste local food. But some wanted something deeper. They wanted to see the countryside, the traditional villages, the real Mexico. Carlos offered both group tours and private tours. Group tours were fun, large buses, many voices, lots of laughter. Private tours were more personal, just Carlos and a few travelers exploring hidden temples, quiet beaches, or small towns far from the city. He had a place he always loved taking people, a tiny village where old women made handmade tortillas and old men carved wooden animals. Tourists felt like they had stepped into another time. Carlos knew everything about the history of the region: Mayan ruins, colonial towns, local traditions, festivals, and even legends that parents told their children. People were amazed. On travel websites, hundreds of good reviews appeared. Carlos is the best guide in Cancun. He speaks perfect English. His tours are unforgettable. Slowly, he became a small online star, but with popularity came curiosity. Tourists often asked, "How do you speak English so well?" Carlos smiled and told them a short version of his story. He had lived in New Jersey for many years. Most tourists were satisfied with that, but some wanted more. They asked private questions. Why did you leave the US? What happened to you? Do you miss it? Are you here for good? Some even asked about his accident. Carlos understood that people were curious, but he also knew that not every question deserved the truth. After all, tourists came to enjoy their vacation, not listen to sad stories. So Carlos had a prepared answer for every personal question. He learned this skill in the United States, where people often talk openly but also expect polite boundaries. When someone asked why he left the US, he said, "Life takes us where we're needed most." When someone asked about the accident, he said, "It taught me to slow down and appreciate life." When someone asked if he returned to Mexico forever, he said, "For now, this is home." People respected those answers. They felt honest yet private, and because of this balance, tourists trusted him. One summer morning, a new cruise ship arrived with thousands of passengers. Carlos had a long day ahead to group tours and one private tour in the evening. As always, he greeted everyone with a smile. "Good morning, amigos. Welcome to Cancun. Today, we're going to explore not just the beaches, but the heart of Mexico." The crowd cheered. Some already recognized him from online reviews and ran to take pictures with him. One teenager whispered to her mother, "Mom, that's Carlos. I saw him on TikTok." The first tour went smoothly. He took the group to a local market where they tasted fresh mango, tried handmade chocolate, and watched a traditional dance performance. Carlos explained the cultural meaning of each dance, why certain colors were used, and how ancient traditions survived modern times. Even people who normally disliked history listened closely. Carlos made everything feel alive. During the second tour, an American man in his 60s approached him and said, "Young man, how do you speak English without an accent? Even my brother, who lived abroad for 20 years, still has one." Carlos smiled. He heard that question more times than he could count. "I listened carefully," Carlos said. "I practiced every single day, and I worked in places where I had to talk to many people." "That's impressive," the man said. "You should teach English." Carlos laughed politely. "Maybe one day." But the truth was, he had learned English not just from practice, but from necessity. When he lived in the US, everything depended on communication: his job, his safety, his survival. He trained his ears to hear every sound, every rhythm of the language. It was not easy, but it changed his life. That evening came. Carlos still had one private tour. A young couple from Texas wanted to see a quiet cenote, a natural underground water pool. Carlos drove them there, talking about the ancient Mayans who believed cenotes were sacred entrances to another world. When they arrived, the water sparkled like blue glass. The couple gasped in amazement. They swam, took pictures, and thanked Carlos again and again. "You know," the young woman said softly, "you must hear this a lot, but you really changed our day. You made it special." Carlos smiled, touched by her words. "Thank you. That means a lot." They returned to the city late at night. Cancun sparkled with lights, music, and movement. As Carlos parked the car, he sat for a moment and looked at the ocean. The moonlight danced on the waves. He felt tired, but he also felt something deeper: peace. He thought about his life in New Jersey. He thought about the accident, the moment that changed everything. At first, He saw the accident as a tragedy, but now, looking at his life, he saw it differently. It pushed him back home. It reconnected him with his family. It led him to become a guide who helped travelers understand and appreciate his culture. The accident did not break his life. It shaped it. As the night grew quiet, Carlos reminded himself why he loved this job. Every day he met new people, heard new stories, and shared pieces of his culture with the world. He showed tourists a Mexico beyond stereotypes, a Mexico full of warmth, history, and beauty. Carlos knew he would continue this work for many years, and maybe one day he would open his own tour company, training young guides just like him. But for now, he was happy, truly happy. Tomorrow morning, another cruise ship would arrive, another day of stories, adventures, and new faces. Another chance for Carlos to do what he did best, to connect people, to teach, and to guide. And as long as the ocean kept singing its endless song, Carlos knew he was exactly where he needed to be. Asterisk.